Hello, I'm Chuck Phillips with South Alabama Home Inspections, and welcome to another edition of Southern Home Talk. I've got several videos on my playlist about tankless water heaters, and those are primarily focused to how to maintain them, but I've never done one that's just a general overview of these, and I think this would be beneficial as well for those that are thinking about doing this. I do highly recommend these tankless systems, especially if you have natural gas. Now, if you have electric, I don't recommend them because all the ones I've evaluated don't seem to perform near as good as these gas models do. But if all you have is electric, I think what I would go with is a heat pump style water heater. They work really well and they last a pretty good while too. And now these tankless water heaters can have a service life of around 20 years if you maintain them properly. And there should be some valves mounted at the bottom if you have one that's made to flush this system out. Now that should be done about once a year because it's got coils inside of there that are pretty small, and it can kind of get gummed up in there with minerals and stuff like that. And really you should have a filter in the pipe coming to this, the water supply pipe, to kind of filter out any of those minerals, and that will help preserve it as well. It is somewhat vulnerable to insects for whatever reasons they want to get in there, and they can actually get into the electronics of this and damage it. So what I did is I put some mothballs inside of there, and that seemed to have worked pretty well. And I've also got it wrapped really good with some insulation and also a sheet to hold it in place, because the service pipes coming into this combust during freezing. And so if you have one of these on the side of your home that's in a closet, you probably should pull that closet lid off and insulate those water pipes back behind it, because they can freeze and bust even if it's PEX. So that's something I do recommend you do. And also too, I'm going to go ahead and go upstairs and finish this video up there to show what the control pad looks like. Now sometimes they do install a temperature, pressure, and relief valve on this thing. I don't really think it needs it with this, because it's basically hot water on demand. There's no tank, and that's another good thing about a tankless water heater. It kind of does away with the need for an expansion tank as well, because there's no water being held creating thermal expansion. So let's go on upstairs and I'll show you what the control pad looks like. All right, what we're looking at is the control pad for this unit. Now I have 4 of these spread out around the home, and that way I can control the temperature at each one of those fixtures. But I'll make you put this to a priority mode if you're trying to raise it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to hit the priority button and I'm going to raise it to 120. Now, someone else on the other side of the house is not going to be able to adjust this, because this is now the priority controller. And this would really mean more if I had this set to 115. And now I'm taking a shower with someone at another control pad can't raise it up to 120 and scald me. And that's why it's there as a protective measure. Now, if you have a really large home where you got your fixtures spread out, if you've got the money, I recommend you put 2 of these in, one on each side of the home, especially as efficient as these are. And just know that natural gas units, in my experience of being a home inspector, have found these to be far better than all the electric models I've evaluated. Now, like I said earlier, if all you have is electric, then a tankless, a heat pump type of water heater would be what I would go with. But if I lived out in the country, I think what I would do is have a propane company come out and set a 500-gallon propane tank and go with a propane tankless water heater. In addition to that, I would also want a whole home generator, and so I'd have that as well, especially with these storms that are coming through. Now, propane is more expensive than natural gas, but these propane tankless water heaters work as good. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, you can go into the electronics of the water heater in some cases and actually raise this to where it can get to 140 degrees. I don't recommend that, but it can be done on some of these models. But there again, it can create somewhat of a scald hazard too. But the good thing about these tankless systems is that it does away, with the need for an expansion tank on the water heater. It really doesn't need a TPV valve, even though they still put them on there. They're just the tank system's going to be a thing of the past. I'm pretty sure it is, because of this technology that's been around quite some time. So I hope this has been somewhat informative, guys, and thanks for taking the time to watch this. If you want to see the videos on how to maintain these systems, go in there and check that out. Just know that plumbers, not all plumbers are qualified to work on these because they are proprietary. So keep that in mind as well. Also, subscribe to this channel if you like to keep up with all the things that affect our houses here in South Alabama. And like the Facebook page, because I usually put up some pretty good articles there that address these issues too. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching.